Hi, y'all. Welcome to the Griffon Show. Great to have you with it. It's Monday, best day of the work week after coming off a long, quick weekend. Hope you had really a happy Easter yesterday. Hope you got to attend a service of your choice. And what a great day. I know at our church, I'm sure it was like that at a lot of churches, celebrating the resurrection of Jesus Christ. So it was an awesome, awesome day. An awesome day to be with family and friends as well. So it was really, really nice. Hope you had a good one too, folks. Great to be back. Great, ready to roll. A lot of stuff going on that we'll get to. Edwards, Governor John Bel Edwards, the one-term governor, goes on defensive against GOP tax pushback. Brandon, I sent you something. Hope you got it. We don't need it right now. Lee Zurich again. University budgets gutted, but athletics running up the score. It's another Lee Zurich special. I do want to share it with you. I don't even have to make a comment on it. I just want you to hear. You know, I'm a big athletic guy. I mean, I love sports. I think they're great. But anyway, they keep crying about money. It's an interesting take. Donald Trump, North Korea, all that's in the news. We'll talk a little bit about the propaganda and why I was so scared of Obama and the propaganda of the left never giving you the truth. I'm not worried about North Korea. I think 99% of what we see is hot air. Same thing with China and Russia, but we'll get to that as the program unfolds. So just a lot of stuff in there. UC Davis wants the American flag, doesn't want the American flag displayed at the meetings anymore, you know, in the name of diversity. And then there's the Deputy Press Secretary, Jim Beam, quit cutting our head. Jim, that's the problem. People like you, once again, too many universities, too many employees. Nobody wants to address that. You can't fix the problem, and it's why you keep seeing your legislature and the governor, led by that one John Alario, who, by the way, got an award. I'll get to that in a second without tripping this time, Brandon. It's why we have the problems that we have. I always said that when they took Alexandria and made it a university, no cut on them. They deserve a university like everybody else. But when they did that, back then we could not ever have enough money to keep the universities running. And I said, if we ever reach the Southern average, which we did under Mike Foster, I said that's when the problems will come up. And it's happened exactly like I predicted. If you got too many of something, adding another one is not going to make your life easy. It's going to make it harder. No cut on Alec. No, don't call here and give me, we need one. Look, everybody has one. It's not just y'all, it's everybody. And I just thought back then when Charlie DeWitt became Speaker of the House, which I thought was a joke, all DeWitt wanted was that because the people would like him. And, they got what they wanted. And we got Stelly Bill stuffed down our throat, they was told us tax neutral, ain't gonna raise that much money. Then we hear it's $1 billion. I mean, just the lies. People just don't want to face. We do not want to face the truth in the state of Louisiana. We don't. And the press, the propaganda, which I'll say it again, they keep talking about Washington coming down to Baton Rouge and Republican Democrats. No, Washington that came down to Baton Rouge is the press, the media. They joining in with Bel Edwards. They sticking. They calling everybody gang of no, obstructionists and things of that. And the same thing that's going on in Washington. So what's come down here is not the politics of Washington, D.C., is the media of Washington, D.C., where they take their sides and they don't care what the truth is. That's the problem. That's what's going on in Baton Rouge right now. Unbelievable. I guarantee you the average Baton Rouge person, that if they followed this at all, just, reading and checking out, would think, man, we just don't have enough money. Our problem is just we just don't have enough money. We just don't tax our people hard enough. The truth is we, local and state, spend more money than anybody in the South. We have spent more money than anybody in the South. We have a bigger budget. We are taxed the hardest local and state taxes than anybody in the South. That's never brought up. They like to do national figures when it makes us look bad or good, depending on what they want. And then they like to use Southern figures when it makes them look bad or good, depending on what they want. And that's what they're doing now as we rock and roll. I mean, it's a shame. And I'm telling you, there's no spending reform. Folks, I'm staying with it because I want you to know the truth. And these people are not going to tell us the truth. I took credit to Harris, Lance Harris and Seaball and Blake Miguez and Cameron Henry, John Schroeder. There's some other ones. They're actually on the right side of this issue. But once again, as in Washington, the media blames them, instructionists, because John Bel Edwards, all he's talked about is one thing, tax or investment or revenue, but it's the same word, tax. I mean, can you imagine going in? It's all you know. That's all you want to do. Is in a recession, in a state that's struggling financially in a lot of areas, not in some, but in a lot of areas, that the goal is to separate you and me from more of our hard-earned money, and it's hard-earned right now. Separate us from our money so they can not change one thing in Louisiana. Has Bel Edwards came out with a spending change plan? Nope, because there's not any. Is he going to change the way he's going to pay for our unaccrued liability and retirement system? Nope. They want a road tax. Are we really going to get roads? We didn't get them the last 14 times we raised taxes. So the 15th time is going to be the charm. So they're going to change any of the university systems and the way we spend money there and the way we hire people there. They're going to change that? Nope. But what are they going to change? Nothing. There's no talk of changing anything. The only thing, the talk of changing anything is taxes, and they're going to add more on them. But they're going to take away some over here and add some over here, but I promise you, 90 and 95%, this stupid budget project or whatever you call it, Brandon, you may remember the name of them, I don't. They are, by the way, you know who funds them? George Soros. Yeah, this new budget, they did an article, I don't know if it was Tyler Bridges on Monday, I got it here, I got to find it. They came out with a new deal saying 95% of the middle class people won't be paying a penny. Just come out and outright lie. Here it is right here. The Louisiana Budget Project. By the way, they call it left center. Tyler Bridges calls it left center. It's not left center, it's left of left. It almost falls down and so far to the left. 95% of Louisiana families a tax cut. Anybody want to bet? And I'm not a betting man. But man, when I see a sure bet, I'll take that bet from anybody that wants to bet that if they raise all these taxes, 95% of you people will not be getting a break. 90% won't be getting the break. I'm telling you, that is, to use that as an article that Tyler Bridges has used is embarrassing. I'm kind of wondering where does he get his journalist license from? He's the deputy press secretary of Edwards. He's the assistant deputy press secretary. Tax package proposed by Governor Edwards would raise taxes on the wealthy while giving 95% of Louisiana families a tax cut. It can't happen. It's not going to happen that way. It never will happen. Only people that make over $203,000 would pay more. That's a lie. That's an outright lie. There's not enough people in this state that make over $200,000 to fund all the taxes that they want. Folks, for them to say that, they're saying households between $36,000 and $56,000 per year would get a big tax break. While only families earning at least $203,000 per year would pay more. Louisiana Budget Project funded in part by George Soros. That's a truth-telling dude. That's what I mean. The left and the press and the media have come down from Washington. Not Republicans and Democrats. It's been the media. They're no different now. They get the side they want to get on, normally the left, and they run with it. And they don't give you the facts and information. So if you think 95% of the people are going to get a tax break when they're trying to raise revenue, I'm not going to call your names. You're just not being real bright. In other words, you're one of the people they can fool all the times. All the time. There's 95% of the people aren't getting a tax break. 95% of the people may be paying more in taxes. If they do a road tax, how many people would be exempt from the road tax in the state of Louisiana? Not one person. Not one person. Just quit lying. The press and the media needs to come forward and be truthful. And they seem not to want to be truthful in the state of Louisiana, and we seem to believe them. Why believe them? They're not telling the truth. They didn't tell us the truth about Stelly. The press keeps writing that was the problem. That was not the problem. The spending is the problem. How we spend our money is the problem. When will the spending change? And nobody's talking about that. And anybody that talks about that, according to Edwards, and there's a story that Edwards goes on defensive against GOP tax. Put up or shut up. Just all they have to do is say, we want to stick to the 2016 budget that And we're going to use those tax receipts, and we're going to base next year's budget on 2016 numbers and just hold your ground. Let them bicker and complain and fall all over the place. You can also show how the budget has grown big time over the last couple of years and how these departments, just about all of them, have increased, not decreased. There's been a few that's decreased, but most of them have increased. It's all there. Republicans need to stand up and be counted for, and don't go along with this Hilario guy, who, by the way, when we take a break and come back, he was given an award, and you'll find out why former Senator Mike Michaud is called Mimi, because it's all about Mimi. I'll get to that when he was given an award in Southwest Louisiana. Senate President Hilario, 2016 Legislator of the Year. And total destruction, but he's legislator of the year. Matter of fact, I think it's appropriate how bad they're doing that he gets it. We'll be right back. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline if you'd like to be part of the program. Your opportunity to be a voice. There's a big article today in the Advertiser, how our college leaders' salaries pay high for Louisiana, but other states have us beat. Who cares about other states? This is a whole comparison. It's not too bad. We don't pay as much as Alabama. But we're not Alabama. They got good roads. How many universities do they have per? I mean, you got so many comparisons that they're not making. Just look at salaries. Just look at salaries. But that's a Gannett newspaper. I expect that from Gannett. All right. Senate President Hilario named 2016 Legislator of the Year. Honored for commitment to economic development and public service. Now, by the way, I think he deserves this. If you look at the sorry state that we are in financially, from a budget standpoint, you look at the sorry state our roads are in. If you look at the sorry state our retirement system's in. If you look at the sorry state our public education's in, by the way, we're back to 49th or 50th. Okay? And you look at the sorry state that our universities find themselves in. You look at the sorry state our economy finds itself in. Yeah, I think John Hilario deserved Legislator of the Year. I think it fits. It's important. I can't believe anybody would give it to him. And then I got to rethinking this. Hold on. The Chamber of Southwest Louisiana honored the West Wego lawmaker at the group's 11th annual Legislative Gator Awards luncheon in Lake Charles. The luncheon recognized legislators who have supported business and development initiatives in the legislature. Hilario received the top honor. He deserves it. Absolutely, he deserves it. Guess who gave him the award? Former state senator and legislative guru Mike Michaud. Why? Well, Michaud's a lobbyist. He needs John Hilario. Okay? Quote, Senator Mike Michaud. John's wisdom and historical knowledge have been invaluable in bringing all sides together to solve problems. I'm glad Michaud said that. Michaud, would you name what he fixed? Former Senator Mimi Michaud. See, Mimi Michaud's about him. He goes to the money guy so his group can make money. That's what it's all about. It's all about money. It's not about you and me. It's not about the state. It's not about us being better. Mimi Michaud was down there. He didn't do anything either. He just made sure that he got with the right people so he can make a lot of money. He knows who to deal with. He said, let me quote again, Mimi Michaud, John's wisdom and historical knowledge have been invaluable in bringing all sides together to solve problems. What problems did he solve, Mimi? Please tell us, please, with all your infinite wisdom, tell me what problems did John Hilario solve? I want to know. Why do we have a $13 billion road backlog? What? Somebody tell me. Well, Moon, you just don't like him. I don't know John Hilario. I know how bad he is. I know he's the guy. Mimi Michaud is a lobbyist giving him an award and bragging about him because why? Money. Follow the money. How did Michaud get wealthy? Around government. You can really follow the numbers. He's sitting here saying, let me quote him again, John's wisdom and historical knowledge have been invaluable in bringing all sides together to solve problems. Tell me what problem has John solved? Has he solved? Brandon, can you name one? What problem did he solve? The road problem in Lafayette, a road problem in Baton Rouge? Did he solve the bridge problem in Lake Charles? Did he solve our higher ed problem? Did he solve the problem of K through 12 while we 49th and 50th? He votes for every reform. But this is what Mimi says, because it's about Mimi. He goes on to say he's been the rudder to keep the ship on course in very rough waters, especially where it relates to state budget. He's been the rudder. I agree. We're rudderless. We're rudderless because of Valerio. And that's Michaud bragging about the man. That's why we got a problem. People are like, oh, might be a great guy. He probably is. I know him. He is a good guy. But when he starts talking to politics and behind the road and back road deals, it's Mimi. He is in a class by himself as the undisputed, listen, most valuable player on Louisiana political stage. And you want to know why we're laughed at? You want to know why we don't fix anything? John Alario, and there's a lobbyist who used to be a state senator, bragging about somebody who's not accomplished a dang thing. And there he is in a class by himself. In a class by himself, undisputed most valuable player. Then why are we last, Mr. Michaud? You said it yourself. Very rough waters when it comes to the state budget. He voted for the last 8. He probably voted for the last 48. How is that? How do you get praised? How do you get lifted up as somebody accomplishing something who's accomplished nothing but to hurt us? We're rudderless because Alario's been at the stage. Folks, I'm not wrong on Alario. I'm not wrong by 1 ounce. Michaud's wrong. But that's what happens. Because he's in a business. They got to move money around, state money and things of that nature. He's a lobbyist. He needs Big John. He needs Big John to make money. This is a shame. This is a shame for somebody to step up and say this about this man. But not Michaud. He's proud to get up there and say it. Jim Beam wrote a piece the other day. He's proud to brag about the guy who's running the ship. The undisputed, most valuable player on the Louisiana political stage. Then why in the hell are we last and everything? Unbelievable. But that's Mimi, and there's something in it for him. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has that hotline if you'd like to be part of the program. By the way, Brandon, you get a kick about this because what we were talking about off the air. Hello, Moon, enjoying the show as always. He's right. Alario is the rudder of the ship. If the ship was the Titanic. What did I just tell you coming out of the break? I said, let me tell you, if John Alario had built the Titanic, according to Mike Me Show and Jim Beam and all these other people, had built the Titanic and it sunk. Okay, if he was the architect of it, they'd be bragging about, John built a hell of a ship. Somebody must have did something wrong because John would have never done that. John is a shipbuilder of the year. John built a ship there was no way it could go down. He is the rudder, as Rusty sends me. He is the rudder. That's why we have the problems. Folks, what I'm telling you lines up. What Mimi Michaud says does not line up. What Jim Beam says does not line up. What the advocate says does not line up. What these lobbyists say, I don't know why they're scared of this man. The only 2 people I know not scared of him now are me and Elliot Stonecipher. Everybody else scared to death of him. Lawmakers, lobbyists, people, just the general public, they're all scared of him. For what? He's the problem. If he built the Titanic and it went down, first, he probably wouldn't have been on the ship. It's how do you keep going? And I played it last week. They're looking at him. The feds are looking at him. The Republican Party went against him. He's the problem. And he gets to stay at the top. How is that? I don't blame Mimi Michaud for doing it. He makes his money in the politics. He's made a lot of his money in the politics as private businesses doing stuff. It's fine. Nothing wrong with that. He's took advantage of his situation. That's fine. I do agree with him, Legislator of the Year. I do agree with, look where we are right now, fighting over budget, fighting over what to do, having spending problems, record money coming in. I'm not wrong. I hadn't missed on Alario yet. I miss on people sometimes. I hadn't missed on him yet. Not at all. So I when I see him get an award, and what was his comment? Oh, you'll like this. He got the award. John, I humbled by this recognition. from the business community, community leaders in Southwest Louisiana. I look forward to continue to work with my colleagues and the legislators to support economic development and education efforts in the region. We're 49th in education. 49th? What education reform? What education? He voted for every one of them. It never changes. Economic development, we knew it if it punched him in the mouth. He's like Francis Thompson, who thought a lake, digging a ditch in a hole, putting water in it, calling economic development. He don't know what economic development is. He knows how to take taxpayers' money and use it for, quote, economic development. You appreciate the call. 844-766-6607. Hickson has that hotline. Brian, I tell you what, I do want to, we'll do it at the top of the hour. University budgets gutted, but athletics running up the score. Lee Zurich had a great report. I just want you to hear it as we look at, talking about gutting budgets, which I'm telling y'all, nobody's budget's being gutted. Let me back up. Jeff Landry. Edwards is trying to gut Jeff Landry's budget. I forgot. His is being gutted. University budgets aren't being gutted. They have increases. DOTD's budget's not being gutted. They just spend it all. I had an interesting conversation with somebody from DOTD, and it's a shame what's been going on in that department. You got some really good people that work there, by the way. Quality people that work at DOTD. Okay? It's the politics. And what I'm being told from several people inside DOTD, it's the politics, it's the contracts, it's the consultants. They've never taken care of the roads once they build them. They don't go back and look at them closely. They don't check them out. There's been no priorities when it's come to roads. And I'm getting this from plenty of people in DOTD. They're not sure giving them more money is going to answer any of the problems. I'm telling y'all, it's bogus to sit here and let Sean Wilson and the rest of them run around and talk about how great they've done when all we got to do is go right around and go find out what they've done on the roads. You can see it you can ride on them and tell. But it's amazing to watch. Anyway, let's take a break. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline. By the way, at Hickson Autoplex in Alexandria tomorrow. If you want to come by, we'll have some best stop with us, and it's good. We'll take a break. Be right back. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Hickson has it hotline, 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline. If you'd like to be part of the program, it's your opportunity to be a voice. By the way, Jeff Sato out with a piece. Governor Edwards, like Kathleen Blanco, could botch flood recovery. There's a lot of people thought the road home was a disaster. There's a lot of people that believe that the flood recovery, for a lot of people waiting for help, has been a disaster. Remember, I don't want you to just forget the floods in August. We people down in Louisiana and South Louisiana, we remember it. Man, it was a disaster. It affected a lot of people's lives. Central to Denham Springs, Ascension Parish, all that area, down in here in Lafayette Parish and Acadiana Parish and Acadia Parish, all those parishes, really were devastated. I can't tell you the devastation. But don't forget Monroe to Shreveport toward Alexandria and all the places in between. When they got hit last March for floods, they didn't see coming either. That flooded places that should have never been flooded. My friends, I just know in the subdivision, it's considered Monroe, but it's Sterlington area, Frenchman's Bend, which I used to live there. They had people that got flooded. They never bought home insurance. So, they had a lot of money, and the government has taken its time. Of course, the same thing happened then. Blanco and them blamed the federal government. The federal government blamed Blanco. John Bell Edwards is blaming the federal government. We hear from the federal government, they blaming Bell Edwards. We've had the deals where he was embarrassed as not knowing numbers and not being able to answer the questions. I keep hearing that the money was available last September, October. Edwards says the money just came online in the interview with our morning crew. So as citizens, we go back and what's the truth? I know this. It sounds like an awful long time for people who have been flooded and knocked out of their homes, and some people have not gotten back. I know how the federal government works in this aspect. They throw money at stuff real quick so people can get happy. The reason they question Louisiana is they see what goes on down here in money. And Katrina put people in jail. Thanks to the mayor of New Orleans. Well, his former mayor. That people went to jail. A bunch of people went to jail for mishandling of money or using money to benefit themselves. And so the flood recovery, let me tell you what goes on with this. I'm just being blunt. It could be Edwards' agenda. It doesn't matter, okay? What happens when you start talking about $1.6 billion, it already was a debacle hiring somebody out in North Carolina for $250 million to present the program. And it seems like in Louisiana, we ought to have, because we do go through floods and we do go through hurricanes, we ought to have something set up ready to go when something like that happens. And we ought not have to pay somebody $250 million to administer the program. And I believe the $250 million comes off the $1.6 billion, so that's money not getting to homes. Okay? So, but here's what really happens in this. When you got $1.6 billion, once again, Republican, Democrat, it doesn't matter. I want you to understand that. When you got $1.6 billion, they start looking for ways to slide $1 million over here, $2 million over here, $3 million over here to their buddies. Now, they're legitimate businesses, and they probably do something regarding the disaster that we went through. But that's where I think the holdup comes. That's where the hang-up comes. Because as my cousin told me one time, politics is about the few people around you getting you elected, and you turn around and help them. And I got to believe, and this is Bill Edwards' case, it was Blanco's case, I believe it would have been Bobby Jindal or Mike Foster. It didn't matter. Just whatever name, Republican or Democrat, they try to find ways to make sure, because they're getting hit by everybody. Hey, don't forget Dr. So-and-so or so-and-so's a construction guy. Don't forget these people over here. They did a lot for us. Don't forget these people contribute. Don't forget you got to use lawyers. Bill Edwards is a lawyer. We know they're suing the hell out of the oil and gas industry. So everybody gets in line that's close to anybody that's the governor. And so the part of the slowdown, I don't care what anybody says, what I'm telling you is 100% on the money. Part of the slowdown is, how do I get the people taken care of that help me get elected? Because if they get more money, they're gonna contribute to my coffers too. Jindal did that. Jindal did that with the chicken plucking plant. Don't say that fast. Chicken plucking plant. I'm stopping. He did that with the sweet potato farm in Delhi. One of the major players there is out for numerous reasons. And those people, those big companies, they find a way to get money back to your campaign. Why do you think John Hilario stays in the money and the cash? Because he divvies up money. Why do you think me show's sitting there? Because me knows me, I need mine, and they know who to go to. Well, it's the same thing with Bill Edwards. Governor Edwards, Jay Darden, they got buddies, and those buddies are going to make some money out of this deal. Now, look, out of $1.6 billion, you don't think, Brandon, think about it, that's way beyond my pay scale. I don't even understand $1.6 billion. But I know this, to put $1 million over here, $2 million over here, or to get rid of $20 million among your friends, or $40 million or $100 million among your friends that can do work for you because you know you're going to get them back in campaign contributions is part of this process. I'm not accusing the honor code of anything. I'm telling you what's going on. And I told you, it didn't matter if it was Republican or Democrats or not. If we go back and can trace every single dollar, I guarantee you a percentage, I don't know what the percentage would be, is going to come back in donations to the governor who helped you. Well, basically, your ship came in. We see it every time there's a disaster. FEMA trailers. Do I have to say more? I mean, they had people going down there getting paid some gigantic bucks on the BP spill. There were billions coming in then. Katrina, Rita, now the flood. And there's going to be some buddies that are going to be taken care of. It's no doubt. It's kind of a natural thing that you do, but you try to do it legally. I'm not saying they're not going to try to do it. Well, this we can award these contracts like this, and this is the only guy that can do this in the state, which is probably not true, but that's what happens. That's what's happening with this money. That's part of the slowdown process. How do you keep up with $1.6 billion? It happens in the federal budget all the time. $4 trillion, $4.5 trillion. We're going to lose $1 million over here and $1 million over there and $1 million over here, a few million over there. Pretty soon, I mean, with a $4.3 trillion, $1 billion is not a lot to go lose. Not a lot to get rid of to your buddies. That's part of the slowdown. Does that help the American people? No. Does that help the people in Louisiana? No. Doesn't help them at all. But it's the process. They slow it down because they got to make sure some of the people getting this money are our people. And that's exactly what's taking place with this. Sato makes the point that if he botches the flood recovery, pretty much like the road home, which was a disaster, then it's going to come back and haunt him. I think it haunts him now. You know, do you notice the press, the Washington-style media that we have here now? And that's what we have. We don't have Washington-style politics. We got Washington-style media here. And the Washington-style media, who's in bed with Bill Edwards, is never going to report none of this stuff. You know? They just going to go with the left and the taxes, and we got to have money. There's no investigating going on of this money. There's no investigating going on of do we need to raise taxes. There's no investigative reporting. What they did was they put together one of these blue ribbon panels, one of these task force, and then they used the task force numbers as being the factual things, being the smart guys. They're the smart people. They know exactly what we need to do. And Deputy Press Secretary Jim Beam steps to the plate. Assistant Deputy Press Secretary Tyler Bridges steps up. And they're going to tell you everything you need to know without giving you the facts. So part of the road home recovery, I'm not accusing the governor of anything. I think some of it's a natural deal. Part of the slowdown is to find out how can we take care of our buddies with it not looking obvious. Trust me, when this money gets to floating around, you're going to hear the stories. I'm going to hear the stories too. Somebody's going to jail because of the flood recovery money. That always happens. Anytime you take a bunch of money and stick it down in our state, somebody's going to jail. They did it with Katrina. They did it with Rita. They did it on the BP spill. There's going to be some problem out there because they're trying to see how they can get money to their buddies because they're going to get some back in a, quote, election and re-election stuff. That's why Bill Edwards wants this money. Bill Edwards wants to tell a story how he raised taxes and saved the state. There's no way. It can't happen that way. They want to be able to say they're fixing roads, and they will be for the first year or two. It's going to look like, boy, look at the roads being fixed. But they'll never finish every project. Because you see, you got legislators who would vote for this. They're cutting deals with Alario. They want to know if their bridge or road's going to get fixed. I was told also by several people in DOTD, they'll have priorities on roads. In the next session, they'll change the priority on the roads depending on whose vote they needed. They'll jump projects ahead of the ones they already agreed to. That's how the game's played. Not wrong, folks. I'm right on the money. And I'll stick with it, and I'll be proven right. Not because I'm smart. It's just I'm not political like them. We'll be right back. We'll keep laughing.
Try not to besmirch no more people today, Moon. Oh.
Oh, help me, Lord. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline if you'd like to be part of the program.
Trying to impugn people's character and such.
All right, Brandon, I do want to play. I hope you pulled it. Lee Zurich. Lee Zurich came out with a piece.
Moon, I haven't gotten it. I'm not getting any emails from you today.
I wonder what's going on.
I don't know, man.
Well, look, see if you can
find it. The gremlins are not cooperating.
Well, something's not. I'm going to hand you this. Everything that I've sent out today is going out except what I sent to you. And if you
are
can
you
tell,
trying to blame me?
Brandon at KPL 965.
I'm offended, Moon. You trying to blame me?
I didn't blame you. I said it never got to you. But I sent something a while ago to somebody else, and I know they responded because they dogged me. They hit me back pretty good. Anyway, you'll be able to pull that up. If not, then I'm not worried about it. It's not that I need it, but I'd like to play it if we could. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. If you'd like to be part of the program, don't forget Walk-Ons is the official sports bar of the Moon Griffon Show. We love Walk-Ons. Great family place. It's more than a sports bar. Trust me, you will. The kids have a good time. There's things for them to do. TVs everywhere. Great time for all. So want to make sure you check them out. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. All right. Edwards is getting on the defensive on the GOP tax pushback. If the GOP doesn't stand their ground on this, we're not going to be better state for it. We're not. All the GOP has to do is say, look, let's get a grip on this. We're going to use 2016 budget. We're going to stop right. Folks, would somebody explain to me what is wrong with this? Because if you can explain it to me and I can understand it, I'll go along with you. What is wrong with saying, here's our budget because this is the amount of receipts we got from last year? We always have a budget problem. So the hell with the Revenue Estimating Conference because they've been wrong for 15 years. The heck with them. Why don't we base it off of numbers that we can see? I know what I made in 2016. So when we sit around the house and say, okay, what are we doing? And we didn't make as much, we didn't do as well as we did in 2015. So when we looked at our budget, we got to go, this is what we're going to base it on, what we got in this year, expecting no pay raises, no increase in sales, nothing. I'm just being honest with you about myself. So what we do is sit down and go, okay, we made this amount of money. It's not that it was bad. We just had a really good year one year, really good year. And last year was good. But it wasn't as good as the year before. I'm not even basing that on last year. I mean the year before last because I knew better. Okay, that's how I survived. I knew better than to base it, but when we got hit with health care, game changer. I better do better next year so I can pay my health care. Thank you, Mary Landrieu and Barack Obama. So what we do is, here's the money you made 16. I guarantee you nobody is saying, okay, here's the money I made 16, so in 2017, I'm going to give myself a 10% pay raise every month, and I'm going to spend that amount of money. Nobody's doing that. They're taking what they made in 16, the normal human being will take what they made in 2016 and say, okay, we're going to live off of what we made in 2016 and 2017. There's a lot of smart people still living on the money they made in 2010. That's why they got a lot of money. But anyway, that's what we have to do at my household. I don't know about y'all's, but I can't say, well, I think I'm going to have 10% increase every month. So good, we can spend that now. No. That's not how it works at our household. It shouldn't work. It should work like that in government too. So let me ask this question. If we took 2016's budget, and this is what Republicans are talking about doing, and it's no cuts. There don't have to be any cuts. We're going to live on the same budget we did last year. You realize last year's budget was up about 6%. In some departments, it was up 10 and 20%. Medicaid, you ever heard of that? So what's wrong with saying, and I'm telling you, Republicans need to stick to this. We're using 2016 budget. Here's the money. Where do y'all want to put it at, John Bell? And when they start getting out, they're not cutting anything. They're saying we got to live within our means. Here's what the tax receipts say we make. Folks, this is common sense. This flies way above John Hilario's head because he's not into common sense. He's into politics. He's into deal cutting and deal making. So is Governor Edwards. So is the great legendary Jay Dardenne. These people need to understand this is so much common sense that the legislature can't understand it. You can. You can if you drive a truck for a living. You can do it if you're a talk show host. You understand it if you're a CPA. You understand it if you drive a mail truck. You understand it if you work on a tractor. You understand it if you work in the oil and gas industry. You understand it if you're a teacher. You understand it any profession except politicians. They don't understand it. Even I understand it. Brandon, do you understand that? You're going to live off the money that you and your wife made last year per month. Is that hard to understand?
Nope.
Now, if something pops up, Brandon, and you've making a little bit more money, you're going to be able to handle it.
Yep.
But you're going to live off of what you made in 2016. How hard is this? It's only hard if you try to complicate it. Bring in John Bell Edwards. Bring in the great legendary Jay Dardenne. Bring in John Hilario. Boom, problem. Boom, problem. Yeah, how do you buy votes if you don't have money? And this is what this is all about. Now, somebody told me, well, right now, it looks like Republicans will stand their ground. This is not the end of the session. For the 60 days that they're in session, they won't be in 60 days. They'll be in 45. They'll have 15 days of paid vacation. For 60 days that they are in session, okay, all they're trying to do is see how many people they can buy with projects and things of that nature. That's exactly what's going on. You want to bet? Look, let me give you the facts on that right quick. If I can find my deal that I had, that's right here. All right. Democrats, all for Edwards, right? This is Jeremy Alford, Louisiana LA Politics Weekly. With friends like these, Dems play hard to get with JBE. That's John Bel Edwards for you people in Balkanville. Hill Ullman was seen on the House floor Monday when Bel Edwards, during his opening speech, had to gently encourage lawmakers to applaud when he announced that the state would be embarking on a mission of fiscal reform this spring. By the way, there's not one thing put out yet that's fiscal reform. And he said the landscape developed even rougher edges when Democratic players in the House reported to Edwards that he was losing support among members of his gross receipt and personal income tax proposal. And in short, they didn't have enough votes. After asking Democrats to be patient, the administration started circulating the CAT bill. While intent to officially introduce the bill Monday, which is today, the tentative legislative sponsor was still unknown. Nobody wants to touch it. As for where the opposition is coming from, there's a group of Democratic lawmakers, now well, listen to this, who are getting cold feet after 15 and a half months of backing the governor and receiving, you ready? Receiving nothing for it, particularly in the form of capital outlay money and projects that we can run home and say, look what we did for y'all, vote for me for re-election. Buying votes. That's where the kingmaker comes. That's where the undisputed MVP, according to Me Show, comes in. John Alario. That's where passing the money around comes in. Tell me what I'm wrong on so far, folks. This is what they're doing. Jeremy goes on to say there's not much Evans can do about it. He doesn't have the kind of cash to throw around that his predecessors did. His administration directed money into statewide projects at the cost of local initiatives. Bingo. More tax revenue means more vote buying. So in other words, this is not tax reform. This is not legislative reform. It's not spending reform. This is how can I buy my votes to keep everything going in the same direction. I'm sitting here reading it, particularly in the form of capital outlay, the governor, and receiving nothing for the votes. That's why, and I've been telling y'all this, these taxes are not about fixing roads. These taxes are not about getting this state in shape. These taxes are about paying people back that got you elected. That's all they doing in Baton Rouge. That's why Me Show is glad to give John Alario and Southwest Chambers glad to give John Alario an award. Why? He's going to determine where the money goes. This is so simple. This is 1 + 2, 1 = 2. It's really that simple. But the legislature wants you to think it's 1 + 1 × 2 divided by 3 plus 4.38. Subtract 3 points and add 2.62 and then divide it 4 times and then add 1.723 million. They want you to look at it and go, holy crap, it's confusing. Yes, it's confusing to you. They say this about me. He don't know what he's talking about. They say it all the time. He don't understand. Oh, I understand. I watch it. You see, for Edwards to be reelected, it's all about this tax. And all the Republicans got to do is say, we standstill budget. Here's the receipt. Folks, who disagrees with me on this? Here's how much money we took in last year. Here's what we're going to live off of. I got to do it. Brandon has to do it. A school teacher has to do it. An old man has to do it. Don't never mind, a lot of them lost their jobs. They make it complicated, and the Washington-style media comes here, gets with Bel Edwards, and never gives you the rest of the information. I'm right. Republicans have to hold a line right here. We'll be right back. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has that hotline. If you'd like to be part of the program, your opportunity to be a voice if you'd like to be part of the program. All right. By the way, Hickson Autoplex tomorrow in conjunction with KSYL 970 AM. Looking forward to it. Always do. Going back to what I was talking about, the Edwards goes on defensive against GOP. Put up or shut up, bring your budget. Just make it simple. Same budget. Well, y'all want to spend the money? All they got to do is Republicans agree. Agree in the House. The Senate is the problem because of Alario. Okay. There's just Melinda Delat. Am I close?
There you go.
Yeah, that's for Carol Ross, by the way. I like Desolate. But anyway, that's just me. House Speaker Taylor Barra have been working on proposal to rewrite Louisiana's tax structure. And even as Edwards chastised lawmakers about not having their own plan, the legislature still didn't have the centerpiece of the governor's tax rewrite. He's fussing at them, but he's never gave them his plan. But when you got Washington-style media helping you out, it makes it look like you're right. Barra says, I'm getting a feel for what they absolutely don't like, and that's primarily the cat tax at this point. I think that's dead. I just think that Barra ought to come out and say we're going with the 2016 budget and that it's up to the lawmakers in Edwards to figure out where they're going to put the money at. This makes it so simple. All right. Did y'all see this weekend? Everybody, I'm talking to people, they're all scared about us going to war. Folks, we're not going to war. I do not believe we're going to war. You saw North Korea. They tried to launch a weapon and it fizzled. And I tell you what, it's amazing as I watch this, and I do the same thing y'all do. I watch this stuff all the time, and North Korea, China, and Russia. I just mentioned them at this. Iran. There's so much propaganda with these countries. I don't ever know if those countries are strong. We found that Russia during the Cold War, when Ronald Reagan, thank God, came along, they fizzled. They were nothing compared to what we thought they were. I'm not saying these countries aren't dangerous, but I'm telling you, in my heart, I believe they're nothing compared to the propaganda that comes out of those countries. The propaganda that comes out of those countries is why you never want the president of the United States or the president of one of these countries and the people that cover the news to be on the same team always. Because over there, they're told what to do. They can't say anything outside what the government says. You know, people talk about the media and Trump. I'd rather have Trump in the media beating him up than have Obama in the media doing what we did for 8 years. They would never challenge him. Whatever he said was the truth. They went along with every plan. They popped anybody that got in the way. Tea Party people. Used the IRS against the people in the Tea Party. People ought to be going crazy. The left ought to be going crazy on that. They never did. The danger for me is the propaganda. You know, I'm not worried about this media, Washington media with Trump, because if he breathes wrong, they're going to bust him in the face. If he coughs wrong, they're going to pop him in the face. If he goes to the bathroom wrong, they're going to bust him. He can't say the wrong thing. They can't say the right thing. They're going to bust him on everything. I'd rather have that than have what we had the last 8 years with everything they're doing, what Obama did, they went along with as being, this is it. That's why we got a definition of change of what marriage is. It's one man and one woman. Never going to change in God's eyes. Never. You can change it in laws, but it's never going to change in God's eyes. Men going to women's bathroom. That's a no-no. I don't care if they say you can do it. It's never going to change. That's wrong. Outright stinking wrong. You don't open the borders and let anybody and everybody come across and say you're going to take care of them. That's what Obama did. Obamacare, a nightmare from hell. Climate change, another dumb thing that we were involved in. And the people in the press push and push just like they do in North Korea and China and Russia. Those countries are so, I'm telling you, I don't know what kind of economy they got. Go look up China and the cities they built that nobody live in. Nobody lives in those cities. They build brand new cities, beautiful cities and buildings. Nobody lives there. And they were telling people our economy is booming. Well, they were building, and be like, you know, we go build a bunch of places to make the economy roll, and yet it was a lie. And I believe their military, too, is a lie. I really do. They got to go. You don't know when they're showing these pictures of all these beautiful places. Just go off a couple roads on those places. They're showing all these beautiful places. And you see hellholes. Same thing in Mexico, in any of them. North Korea's a little rogue nation with an absolute chump running the country. I don't no more believe that they can hurt us than flying to the moon. I don't. You know, maybe they can. I don't want to go to war, but I'm just telling you, these little rogue countries in Russia we thought was the bad dude. They as bad as they thought they were because of the propaganda. Propaganda to make you think they're something they're not. And I still think it's like that in China and Russia today. I know it's like that in North Korea. Then all of a sudden, they got all this patriotism. And a patriotism. They told her go out there and clap and cheer and act like this is the way you need to do it. The same thing the press did with Obama here. I'm not worried about him. I'm really not. And Trump's not trying to start a war for the people that think that. Anyway, let's take a break. Your comments are welcome. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. We'll be right back.